feature here on TV Channel 10, on Spectrum Channel 191, at WKRX 96.7 FM, and we're also on WRXO 1430 AM. My name is Rob Hall. We welcome you into the program. We're brought to you today by T.G. Brooks Company, Sandling Golf Cars, Goings Auctioneering, and Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese, Spread, and Dip. Our special guest today on this pre-recorded edition of the Gardener's Corner program is Mr. Paul Westfall. Paul is the Director for Person and Granville County's Cooperative Extension Service. If you would, please help me welcome Mr. Paul Westfall. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Rob. How are you today?
Doing good, and I'm glad I got the counties right today.
You did a perfect job. Yeah, we're not in Caswell County today. How about that?
Anyway, this is a pre-recorded edition, and on-air thank you to Paul Westfall for working with us on the schedule. I had something else going on today, and I had asked Paul if he could come in early and record the program. And I will say this about the extension service: they are always willing to work around and help out whatever way that they need to be. And Paul, not only thanks to you, but thanks to all the other agents. And just a few weeks ago, Jennifer was to be on the program, and we had to call and cancel that because Kilby was sick, and so Jennifer just changed to the next week. So thank y'all for being somewhat flexible.
We have to be flexible in our line of business, Rob, and as you have to be in your line of business too.
That's
and,
right.
You know, most people's occupations, you do have to be a little bit flexible. But when we're out and about trying to work with farmers and families, we have to deal with what life throws at us. So little flexibility works out to help us get things done in a lot of cases. And you know, today's an example. You know, we're having to pre-record, unfortunately. So we're treating this like this is October 20th.
That's right.
Which
That's right.
is great. Last week on the 13th, we had a Forest Owners Field Day, and even though we're pre-recording that's a good day for us. I think a lot of people turned out, and one of the things they're doing is seeing what kind of research is going on some of these experiment stations.
Right.
And I get that question a lot because, you know, our Granville County office is on the campus of the Oxford Research Station, and I get people in Oxford asking me, well, what do they do out there? I said, well, they do a lot of different research. You know, it's primarily tobacco research, but they've got trials for you know, small for blackberries and stuff like that. They've got trials for bioenergy stuff. They got soybeans. They got we did some sweet corn trials even this last 2 years. So there's a lot more going on out there than I think people realize. And down at Butner, I did not know until just when we started planning this field day that happened last week that they actually are doing forestry research down at the Umstead station in Butner. So I don't know how many other people knew that, but I sure did not until we started planning this. I think it's good to get people out and on some of these stations to show, yes, there is research going on these, and that research will ultimately be something that we as extension personnel can use to get back to our clients, the farmers and landowners and families, to help them improve their business operations and life in general.
Well, you know, Paul, I think we all like to feel like that we are always or a wealth of knowledge and keep up with everything that's going on. But in many, many cases, it can be things happening in your own town, in the county that you live in, that you are not aware of. And research is something that is very important. And we're fortunate to have people that are willing to, you know, take part in doing the research and obtaining knowledge to pass it along to people that may be interested in doing something along that same line. And if you listen to people that is taking part in experiments and doing things, they can save you a lot of time and
That's
trouble.
right. Yeah. And if
And
we've
that's
already
what it's all
gone through
about.
we've gone through the trial and error as a researcher and got that to extension, we can help folks avoid some of that same trial and error. They can hit the ground with the right thing in the first place, you know. So
Well, and a lot of times when we all have ideas, the idea may sound great in your own mind, where, and sometimes it may just not work out that way,
yeah.
in everyday life.
And that's a lot of time, we talk about research, we want to find these successes and the breakthroughs and all that, but it takes an awful lot of, oops, that didn't work, before we can make that step to, yeah, this is the next thing we need to do. But, because research, you can be just as successful in research by finding out what does not work.
That's right.
You know,
You're right.
Because we don't want to recommend something that, to people that's not proven.
Well, speaking of things that we do know works and is a tremendous help, is doing soil samples.
Oh, yes, sir.
The end of October will be here before you know it.
10
And
more
next
days.
month is Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And so the point that I'm building up to make is you've got somewhere about 5 weeks to get your soil samples turned in to where you can get your soil analyzed free of charge. If you wait until after Thanksgiving, it will be a fee of $4 per sample. Now, if you only have one sample, that's not bad. But you
Right.
take a lot of farmers in different ones, they may have 100 plus samples.
I've had those farmers bring in 100 samples, and $4 is not a very high fee. If you were going to use a private lab to do that, it'd probably be $40.
That's right.
But I have had farmers bring in 100 soil samples at one time, and $4, that's a $400 bill. You talk about $4 here, $4 there, but bring in 100 samples, that's a little chunk of money, isn't it?
It is that. It sure is. And so we want to encourage everyone, whether you are a home gardener or if you are a big, huge farmer, go ahead and do your soil samples. Save yourself a few dollars. Get them turned in by Thanksgiving, and that way you'll get your results back. And so over the winter time, if you need to apply lime, lime can be put on anytime.
That's right. Yep.
And then, for your spring gardens and spring crops, you'll be off to a good start knowing exactly what type of nutrients is needed in
Yeah.
your land. And one thing, if you decide to put out lime and or fertilizer, and if you just guess at it, that's all you're doing is guessing. And it might be a case here and there that you may just hit it right on top. But sometimes you may be selling yourself short and wasting money.
Right. Yeah, you can over apply, and that can cause additional problems. So if you for example, if you put too much nitrogen on tomato plants, you don't get very many tomatoes, do you?
That's right.
You get a lot of big green leafy bushes, but they just keep growing leaves instead of going to fruit. And we like to eat the tomatoes, not the leaves. So
That's right.
That's the point on that. But yeah, I did want to bring that up today about the changeover from no charge for soil sample analysis to the $4 fee. That $4 fee will run from after Thanksgiving through March 31st. So that's kind of a 4-month time period that they're doing that, and they do it to try to kind of balance out the number of samples that come into the lab throughout the year instead of having a big rush of samples at the very end of the year. Although there will be a whole lot of samples brought in November, I can promise that.
Well,
but we like to get our results back in a timely manner. So if we get samples in to the lab scattered throughout the year instead of one big lump at the end of the year, sample results are returned a lot more quickly, and then farmers can or homeowners and all can make their plans about, do they need lime? If so, get your plan or work out what you need to do to get the lime applied. Same with fertilizer. If you need to get, your lawn fertilized or your garden fertilized or your tobacco fields fertilized or your pastures fertilized, you got time to make arrangements to shop around, get the best value for what you need, and you can make your application and timely for fertilizer. And nitrogen is the most critical one as far as timeliness too.
Right.
So,
Well, and you know something else, Paul. I'm glad that you brought up the point as to why they imposed the $4 fee. Typically between Thanksgiving and the end of March, they are just bombarded with soil samples to test, and if you have to spend the $4 fee per sample, that will be returned to you very easily if you follow the, you know, more or less recommended amounts of fertilizer and/or lime and nitrogen to be, you know, put on whatever it is you may have. But I have heard of it taking sometimes close to a month to receive the results of your soil sample. But they don't like to do business that way. They like to get it back to you within a couple of weeks.
right.
But when the workload is there, it's pretty much impossible.
It takes a certain amount of time to run each sample, and you cannot speed that process up.
Yeah.
So when you get so many samples backed up waiting, it just takes longer to get those results. And before they went to this process of, you know, of the fee for that period of time, people waiting 8, 9 weeks, maybe a little longer at times to get their results back. And by then they needed to have some plants in the ground. So we were having to do some guesswork and then follow up to try to meet the true need. And that's not a good way to operate.
Well, and you know, a lot of you people may be thinking, well, if I do my soil analysis now, you know, when I plant my garden late April, early May, some of the stuff may be done depleted out of the soil. And some of it could, but it won't be that far off.
That's
so
right, yep.
Go ahead and do your soil sample, save those few dollars, and help take some of the massive workload off of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture.
Right.
But I can't stress it enough, and I know we climb up on the soapbox and talk about doing the soil samples, but let me tell you, and I've told a lot of people this, if you don't believe the importance of soil samples, do an experiment yourself. Do a soil sample on one area of your, you know, crop fields, and then in one area, don't do a soil sample, but before you open up the soil sample results on what you had tested, you go ahead and decide what you're going to put on that you did not test, and then you do the recommended amount on the soil that was tested. And it doesn't take long to realize that the proof is in the test.
That's
that
right.
It works.
It'll work. Yes,
So,
sir.
All right, so again, you got until the end of pretty much Thanksgiving or the end of November to get them turned in, but we always say Thanksgiving. And now don't show up at the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. Thank you, Paul. Don't show up there on Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock before Thanksgiving on Thursday, you know, because the agents, they you know, take turns delivering the soil samples and things, and they don't make trips over there every day. So it would be a big help to the local agents if you could have your soil samples to their office, say by maybe Monday before Thanksgiving on Thursday.
Yeah, don't wait till the last second. If you need them in that day, you might as well take them to the lab yourself. But
And
if
you are allowed to do that.
You certainly can, and they will take them up to 4:59 that afternoon. But chances are we're not going to be able to get there. But because most of the time we use the state courier service, which is a mail service, to get soil samples to the lab because it's just more cost efficient than me or Johnny or Gary or Kim or somebody physically driving down to Raleigh and delivering samples to the lab and coming back. Of course, if there's a time critical thing, you know, we're happy to do that, and we have done it, and we'll probably do it again. But if it's a routine analysis, you're wanting to get it in so we can make your plans for next spring, get it to us by that Monday so we can at least get that in the courier box and get that delivered down there before the deadline. So
Right.
that's the critical thing there. And then I think last week we had just a smidgen of rain. You know, at least it clouded up, and I had to use my windshield wipers.
Yeah.
And the soil's pretty hard before we get the rain, so hopefully you got enough rain to actually make taking samples a little bit easier. So
That's right. And also, it's that time of the year to be fertilizing your cool season grasses. Hopefully, you've done some overseeding or reseeding. And I'm sure a lot of people, as I have planted some grass seed, but we hadn't had any rain to say much. But hopefully, we'll get some in the next few weeks or so. And the reason that is suggested to do your seeding, say in September, because you want your seed to sprout and go ahead and get up, maybe 3 to 4 inches before the leaves start to fall, because if you've got a lot of leaves, that will choke out, any grass that you may have. So hopefully with a little bit of rain that we got last week and maybe we'll have
maybe we'll get some more.
soon.
Yeah.
That's right, because we are definitely in need. Let's take a little bit of a break, and we're going to get a word on for Goins Auctioneering. Mr. Greg Goins, proven success, always runs first quality auctions. He has an auction scheduled for tomorrow, and he also has one coming up the first Saturday in November. You can go online to GoingsAuctionsInc.com for more information. But right now we're going to squeeze a word on for Goins Auctioneering to find out more information about the auction tomorrow.
Mr. Greg Goins of Goins Auctioneering, NCAL 390, announces an antique and collectible auction sale to be held Saturday, October 21st, starting at 10 a.m. The location will be Earpsboro Farm, located 1991 Earpsboro Road in Zebulon, North Carolina. For terms, TV photographs of auction items, and for more information, log on to GoingsAuctionsInc.com or call Greg Goins at 252-578-1623. You'll find antiques and collectibles of yesteryear on this auction to be held Saturday, October 21st in Zebulon. Items such as a spinning wheel, an old tricycle, lanterns. You'll also find cast iron and wooden mantles. Also, a butcher's block table will be sold at auction Saturday, October the 21st, starting time 10 a.m., 1991 Earpsboro Road in Zebulon, North Carolina. Call Greg Goins at 252-578-1623 or visit the website GoingsAuctionsInc.com. Goins Auctioneering, proven success.
Here we are back on this recorded edition of the Garden Corner program. Our special guest today is Paul Westfall. Paul is the director of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service for the Granville and Person County offices. Paul, we had talked about this a few weeks ago when we were down at T.G. Brooks Company, and it's going to be a beef cattle field day, and I don't think I will be able to attend, but it's one thing that I would really love to know more information about, and talking about the solar-powered cattle water system that one of the farms that you all are going to be touring has.
Yeah, we did. That was on the 5-county beef tour.
Oh, that
but,
was on. So this
yeah,
is
that was already
different
gone.
then.
This is
Okay,
different.
okay.
This is different.
All
This
right,
is this is actually going to be over in Reedsville at the Upper Piedmont Research Station.
Well, I was.
That's okay. This is going to be on October 28th, so 8 days away. A week from tomorrow.
Right.
North Carolina Beef Cattle Field Day at the Upper Piedmont Research Station over in Reedsville. That's 1944 Wentworth Street. If you want the address for that, it's going to start at 9:30 in the morning. They're going to tour the research station. They're going to provide lunch. Can't beat that.
That's
and then
right.
that afternoon, they're going to have a heifer sale. Some heifers have been produced on the research stations across the state will be pooled there and offered up at auction. So if some of our beef producers are looking for some good heifers out of some good genetics, this would be a good excellent place to get some of those and bring them home. And if you've been following cattle prices, they're kind of to the advantage of the buyer right now. But
Right.
they're down a whole lot from what they used to be a couple of years ago. But fairly decent, but they're affordable, I guess is what I'm going to say. If anybody needs beef quality assurance certification, that's recertification will be available. They'll offer the test for recertification after the sale. But the tour stop, some of the things they're going to be looking at, they're going to look at feed efficiency. They're going to talk about having a winter feeding area, and then just talk about forage systems in general and how to best use tall fescue. I know we've talked about on
Right,
this
yeah.
program before, so that's something that's on a lot of people's mind. How do we improve our fescue pastures without having to spend a whole lot of money and getting rid of what we've already done and starting over? I don't know if they're going to do a lot with. Have a lot of good answers for you, but I know they have been working on the different research stations about doing that. But feed efficiency, they're going to talk about includes using sorghum silage, and they're going to talk about heifer breeding soundness exams. We're doing a breeding soundness exam for bulls on November 6th over at the Livestock Arena in Granville County. They're going to talk about doing heifer breeding soundness exams. And we haven't talked a lot about that in our livestock programs, but they do some of this for mares and horses. So that's something that's coming through too. And a lot of that has to do with just, can that heifer have a calf, without assistance? And that's real important to our beef producers, and making sure that that's possible. And they'll actually do pelvic measurements and make sure that the birth canal is large enough to have a calf. So that, we've done a lot of research on that. Now it's time to get that out on the farms and see how important that is. And we're going to talk about winter feeding areas, stockpiling fescue, and talk about soil health a little bit. But for most people, we recommend if you're going to be feeding a lot of hay, then have a pasture that you're not too concerned is going to get all cut up and messed up, and a place where cows can stay on that you're not too worried about. It's not your developed pasture so much.
Right.
You don't want to cut that up and ruin that too much. So having that area where you can have your cows, where they're easy to observe, easy to get feed to, and that they're dry all the time, except maybe when it rains. But you don't want cows standing in muck and mud, or they need to start getting into some of the foot rot issues and all that. Stockpiling tall fescue, we've talked about that on this show. Just letting fescue grow this time of year, not cutting it for hay, and then just putting up a temporary fence and letting the cows harvest the forage there, the fescue at that point. It works real well. If you want more details, give me a call during the week, and I'd be happy to discuss that with you. And then the whole soil health topic is getting a lot of attention nowadays in research, because they're starting to look at some of those microorganisms that are in the soil that actually help the soil gain more organic matter and be able to grow more forage and more crops. So soil health, if you don't have any organism in the soil, it's just kind of laying there, and it's not as productive, we're finding. So soil health is becoming a big issue. But they're going to talk about selecting annual grasses to use in the fall and winter, and annual grasses to use in the spring and summer. So that'll be good information to know. We've talked about converting toxic fescue to non-toxic fescues, and then the other flip side of the coin is that's identifying which animals in your herd are actually tolerant to some of that toxic fescue. Because you can look at the herd. Some cows look a little rougher than others. Those are more intolerant. So as we go about that. So it looks like it's going to be a big day for the beef industry. They will have a heifer sale. It says they're going to have 10 open Angus heifers, 10 open commercial heifers, 2 bred commercial heifers, 5 bred Centipole commercial heifers, and 2 bred Angus cows are going to sell. So, it's an opportunity. We don't see a lot of Centipole cattle around, but they're very heat tolerant, I understand. So it looks like it'd be a good day for beef producers to go out there on that. Again, that's October 28th. They're going to start registration starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's on a Saturday morning. So hopefully anybody's interested. It's not that far to Reedsville from Person County.
That's right, a nice little ride up Highway 158.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Paul, is it a research station up there similar to the one in Butner, except they do research on heifers?
Well, these heifers are going to be brought from the different research stations, but
Oh,
yes,
okay.
they're doing some similar work to what they're doing at Butner, because conditions out in Reedsville are different than they are in Butner. They're a little more hills over there, a little bit higher elevation, but they do some of the research, beef research there, emphasis on forages. Butner's a larger station. They're doing forages research. They're doing grazing research. They actually have a feedlot there. They can finish cattle and do some work on that too, as well as some of the other work that they do with crops.
Right. Well, that's interesting. So again, that will be on Saturday, the 28th of October in Reedsville. And if you would like more information on that, you can contact the Person County office, 336-599-1195. And they have a way of maybe emailing or sending you some information by U.S. mail. But with that being just a little bit over a week away, it will probably be best if you could provide them an email address where they could send you the information.
Or just give us a call.
That's right, 336-599-1195 for more information on the Beef Cattle Field Day. Paul, now, you were saying coming up in Granville County on November the 6th, it's going to be what now?
We call it a breeding soundness exam for beef bulls. And what they do is check the bull for general health. They check their teeth and make sure they can graze easily. And then they actually take a semen sample and put that under a microscope and just make sure that the bull is able to breed cows. Because
Now, will this be open to the public?
this is open to anybody that wants to have their bull tested. We do limit it to 60 bulls that day because that's a full day's work doing
Okay, so
that
people
much.
can bring their bull off of the farm then?
Yes, they
And
can
so-
bring their bull there. We do ask that people call the Granville County office, or you can call Person County, either one. The number there is 919-603-1350. Of course, Person County office number is 336-599-1195. But if they want to have their bull checked for breeding soundness, we can schedule you an appointment to bring your bull in that day, because I don't like to have a lot of bulls backed up waiting, and then it takes longer for us to get through, and it's more efficient use of the bull's owner's time if we can get them there at a certain time that they can reasonably expect them to get worked through, and then back on the truck so they can get on back to the farm. But we do have a veterinarian and veterinary students from the NC State Vet College that are actually conducting the exams. Mr. E.B. Harris allows us to use his livestock arena and facilities to do this, which is wonderful because they are set up and they can handle bulls. Some of those bulls are pretty big, as you know.
And that'll be down on Kennedy Mill Road.
Yes, the livestock arena on Kennedy's Mill Road, which is just off Fairport Road in Granville County.
Yeah, not so far off of Highway 96.
Right.
Between Oxford and Wilton. And now, Paul, is it any charge to bring you bulls to this?
$10 per bull.
$10 per
Is
bull.
all we're charging. And then we do have sponsorships from Granville County Farm Bureau and Granville County Cattlemen's Association, and Southern States and Oxford usually help us out with this to help keep the cost down. Because if a grower was to call a veterinarian to do this, have their bull checked, and some growers do this, they're going to get charged a trip fee to come to the farm. They're going to get charged for however long it takes a veterinarian to do that. And I don't know about you, Rob, but I have not found a veterinarian that will do it for $10 a bull.
Neither.
And
You know,
for all the costs.
The service call just to get out to your farm, will be probably, you know, $60 to $80
Right.
just for them to
just to
drive up
to
and
the
get out
farm.
of the truck. You
But
know,
this is
so-
a good thing all the way around. As I see it, it's a good thing for beef growers, beef producers that have a bull and are dependent on that bull to breed their cows so that they can have a calf crop. It's good for them to know that the bull is physically able to do his job, which is breed cows. And then it's on the other hand, you know, we're giving some veterinary students some hands-on training in working with large animals, which to me is very, very important for a up-and-coming young veterinarian.
I agree.
And Dr. Harrison Dudley is the instructor, the veterinary instructor. He is a veterinarian. He came through this program and actually came as a student to learn about this and become a veterinarian. Now he's hired by the vet school, and he teaches students now, and he's very good, does a great job. He brings some interns with him, or residents, I guess they call them, you know, that have been through school and just trying to work and gain their accreditations or however all that works. But it's a win all the way around for the growers and for the students that are working on this program and trying to become veterinarians.
Well, Paul, one thing that I wanted to also add, herd health is something that is really important. And, you know, when you have cattle, it's an investment, and you want the best for your herd, because that herd is money in your pocket. And so it would be a good idea maybe for you to consider this. And with the idea of the semen being tested, that would really be good, because a lot of times if you have, you know, maybe a cow that has not, you know, calved, you know, in the last year or so, you need to figure out if the problem with the cow or is the problem with the bull. And now if you say, well, I've got, you know, 12 other cows with the same bull and they all calve fine, you know, it could be the fact of your bull is being overworked. And from what I have been told, a bull cannot service as many heifers and cows as one may think. And so it's good to have your bull to heifer cow ratio worked out good.
Right.
And it's not a bad idea to have, you know, your bull tested him for $10. You can't go wrong. You'll just be investing a little bit of time in loading your bull and getting him down to the livestock center on Kennedy Mill Road in Granville County. And also one other thing, you made mention about Mr. E.B. Harris allowing you all to use his facility down there. I've been to several different cattle sales, and it just so happens that everyone I've ever been to, E.B. has been the auctioneer.
He does a lot. Yeah.
He does. He sure does. And I have attended some of his auctions, and I went just to go. I wasn't planning to buy a cow and didn't buy one. But one thing that a lot of the cows that he auctions off, and he makes this announcement in his opening statements before the auction, that if you purchase one of these, you know, cows, a bred cow, if that cow does not give you a living calf, a lot of times he will instruct you to do what you can do with that cow, and he'll give you that amount of credit on the following sale the next year. So he's there selling cattle, but you know he's standing behind a lot of what he sells.
That's right.
Now he doesn't offer that on all of them, but what I'm getting at is these people that are involved in the cattle industry, they are there selling a quality product, and if they believe in it, they'll stand behind it. And if you ever purchase a bull from anyone, you need to be guaranteed that that bull will breed and produce for you, because I've heard tales of ones not doing very much so. And the reason I was asking so many questions, Paul, I didn't know if what was going to be going on November the 6th was going to be pertained to the bulls that are being tested at the research center in Butner.
No, this is a different deal. This is for producers. They can bring their bulls to the arena and have them checked. Now you were thinking about the bull test that's going on down at Butner at the research station, and those bulls will come off test in mid-November. Now they will have this breeding soundness exam done on them before they're sold. I believe it's December 15th when that sale will be. And that'll be down at the livestock arena also. But those bulls will all be checked, and some of the bulls that are on test won't make that sale for one reason or another. It could be they didn't grow as well. They were in the lower part of the gain data, or they were had a high number for feed efficiency or a bad number for feed efficiency, or they didn't pass the breeding soundness exam. So, that's another thing, but that sale will be December 15th, I believe, the third Friday in December.
Well, I hope we can go back down there to that. And
I'll check with Mr. Harris and see if we can do that.
Yes, and if you are in the market for a quality bull to add into your herd, you need to keep your ear posted to the radio and try to attend that sale. And last year when we were there, not only was it people there buying in person, they was also broadcasting the sale over the internet at cowbuyer.com.
Right.
And it's very likely so that it will be that way again this year.
Most livestock auctions that you go to now do have a video portion, and they will accept bids over the internet. They've accepted bids by phone all along, or had a certain amount they could bid up to, representing someone. But now people can watch it live online and can actually place a bid via the internet. So things have progressed a lot since since Granddaddy's day, that's for sure.
And one nice thing, talking about the tested bull sale, you can request information in advance, and it gives you the layout of these bulls, scrotum size, their average daily weight gain, and so many other things. And the nice thing about watching the sale on the internet and purchasing it over the internet is you don't actually have to be there in person. If you've got other things going on, and with computers and smartphones and things like that, you can in a sense be there at the auction and purchase that bull that you're wanting. And then after you make that bull yours, all you got to do is worry about
getting him home,
transported home.
Yeah.
And there's people always there that have trucks and trailers, and they don't mind, delivering for a nominal fee. So, but we'll keep you posted on that.
But there's one thing that you do miss out on by making your purchase over the internet. It's being there and enjoying the full auction experience, because it's just a lot of fun.
Right. Just more or less the atmosphere, and they're always, grilling up burgers and hot dogs, and the smell is in the room, and it's just it's enjoyable. Everybody is happy, smiling, and it's an enjoyable day, and
that's right.
So we would encourage anyone to do that. And I will say this, if you want to go, you better get there early, because they have a limited amount of seating available, and they fill up pretty quickly.
They do. Yeah, that's right.
All right, we're going to get a word on for Sandling golf cars. Whether you're in the market for a golf car, a trailer, and while we're talking about cattle, I'll let you know that Sandling Golf Cars has stock trailers.
Yeah.
And also, if maybe you're only interested in the cattle industry of having a steak on the grill, they have Wilmington grills available at Sandling Golf Cars. Here's more information.
Sandling Golf Cars, located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. Whether you're in the market for a club car, E-Z-GO, or Yamaha golf car, shop with them at Sandling Golf Cars, open for business weekdays 8 until 5, Saturdays 9 until 1. Call Sandling Golf Cars locally at 919-693-4626, toll free 1-800-221-9267. Whether you're in need of parts or repair service, Al, Hillary, Will, Larry, Bradley, and Dennis there to serve you at Sandling Golf Cars, 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. Inquire about special financing options. Sandling Golf Cars located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford for all of your golf car needs.
All right, here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. Paul Westfall is our guest today, and started out talking about soil samples. If you're just joining in on this recorded edition, soil samples, if you want to have them done free of charge,
Get them in.
you need to get them in. The deadline will be Thanksgiving, and if you're going to rely on the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service to get your soil samples to the Department of Agriculture, they ask that you have them to their office by Monday before Thanksgiving on Thursday. So you need to take care of that. And we also been talking some about the beef cattle field day. But right now we're going to talk about deer season, and hunting season has started.
It has.
And anyway, I guess it will be, in the next few weeks or so when actual gun season will start, around here. And so with that being said, you need to watch out for the deer. Deer seem to be more active, like say from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. And if you are ever approaching a deer that's on the side of the road, they don't necessarily yield to traffic. So if you ever see one, if you have your headlights on bright, put your headlights on dim and slow down, because a lot of times when you put your headlights on bright, you're just blinding
them even
the
more.
deer.
Yeah.
And just put your headlights on dim and just slow down.
And be ready.
That's right. Be ready.
Be ready.
And typically, if you see one deer,
There's
most
another
of the
one somewhere.
times it's not the lone deer.
Yeah, especially in the
It's
fall of the
yeah.
year, because I just wanted to bring this up because the deer season is open here in our part of the state. Person County is in the what they call the I can't remember what the central region, I guess, central deer region. We're in archery season right now, so there's folks camoing up and going out and harvesting some deer using archery equipment. That will started on the 9th of September and it goes through October 27th. October 28th is black powder season begins. That is a firearm using old equipment, well, old-timey equipment I'll call it. It's not old, a lot of these things are brand new. But they do use black powder, usually a single shot, but that goes from October 28th to November 10th. When black powder shoots, there's a big cloud that comes out. You've seen that, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
But it is a firearm, so we want everyone to exercise, the utmost safety. Then the modern gun season for our region starts November 11th and runs through January 1st. And one of the reasons I wanted to mention this is that I ask people to be very aware of their surroundings, ask people to be sure and use all the safety equipment that is recommended by the Wildlife Resources Commission, and be sure and identify, make sure that is a legal harvestable deer before you pull the trigger, and make sure you have a good clean shot, because we want the harvest to be clean.
That's right.
When we're
You shoot
hunting
to
deer.
kill and don't shoot to try to injure. So,
Absolutely not.
So do your best when shooting. Do your best to get a good clean shot, to to where you can kill the deer instead of injuring it. And a lot of times, you know, it's been a lot of deer that has been shot and they're never found, but they find them a week or so later.
Yeah, or next spring or
That's
something
right.
like that. But the other thing, the flip side of that coin is, you know, be sure and identifying your target is, let's make sure it's not a cow.
That's right.
Let's make sure it's not a horse, you know, coming through the brush there. And most of all, make sure it's not another person, you know, because
right.
unfortunately there are tragedies that happen every year, it seems like, but we want those to be cut down to zero. We don't want any people injured, you know, because of somebody getting a little taste of buck fever and, you know, shooting at the movement in the brush. We don't want anyone to do that. We do not advocate that. Target identification is critical on this, and then, you know, knowing what you're doing, you know, doing a good job of it.
And more or less what Paul is saying is, don't shoot unless you are 100% sure that it's going to be a safe shot for any and everything except of the deer that you're shooting at.
Yeah, identify what you're harvesting, and know what's aware back behind. You know what's in line behind, but after the target, after the deer. You know, because you don't want to be aiming in the direction of a home or a church or a public building. And of course, there are setbacks and restrictions as far as you're not supposed to hunt too close to
That's
any
right.
of these buildings. But be aware, because, you know, modern high-powered rifles, the bullet can travel a long way.
It can.
And they can still have a lot of energy out there, you know, much further than we think it's going. But, you know, it's just exercise care and caution, and know what you're about when you're out in the woods, you know, trying to harvest a deer. We ask that. And also brought the eastern deer season. You know, some people like to go down east
That's
and hunt deer or bear. Now, their actual modern firearm season opens. It opened last week,
Yeah.
the 14th of October, and it runs through January 1st also. You know, I guess in a sense they're lucky. They get a month's jump on everybody, it seems like. But Vance County is not very far from us. You just drive across Granville County. You're in the eastern deer season, or eastern deer management region. So their seasons are different than what we have here in the central region. So just be aware of that, and be aware even when you're traveling through.
That's
know
right.
about that. And the bear season opens about the same time. So we don't have a lot of people talk about hunting bear in Person County, but there is a season for them, and you have to pay $10 extra on your license to
For
be
your
able
tag,
to
yeah.
for your bear tag. Usually allow just one, but they're usually nocturnal creatures. The black bear, they don't come out a lot, but there certainly are some in Person County, and some people do like to harvest a bear now and then. But there is a season on that, and I guess it's November 11th through January 1st on the bear in Person County in our central region. So be aware of that. It's good for people to understand and know what's going on for these different things. But again, black bear has a black coat. Most of our cows in this area have a black coat.
That's right.
So again, you know, deer are tan or red, you know, depending on what season of the year. They kind of change colors with the seasons a little bit. But bears are black, cows are black. Calves and bears can be about the same size, you know, standing up. A mature cow is usually a little taller when they're on all fours. But just, again, going back to that identification, be sure that you've identified what you're hunting.
Know your surroundings.
Know your surroundings.
That's
and
right,
just
so.
utilize utmost caution and utmost safety when you're out hunting. And farmers, I was talking to Kim Woods earlier before we came down to record the show, Rob, and she said she'd seen a posting on the internet somewhere where somebody had actually gotten their cows up and took some bright orange spray paint or something like that and wrote COW on the side of
I've
the cow.
heard of that too, yeah.
And that's not a new story, but unfortunately, people do lose their livestock to I'll call them unskilled hunters, because
That's right.
they
That's right.
didn't take the time to identify just what that was making that noise out in the bush.
Buck fever sets in, and it's all over, so to
Oh,
speak.
yeah.
Hey, we need to get a word on real quick for T.G. Brooks Company. It'd be a good weekend to do some
yeah.
grilling out. Any weekend is good to grill out one of those hand-cut ribeyes from T.G. Brooks
my mouth's
Company.
watering.
We'll be back to wrap up this pre-recorded edition after a word from T.G. Brooks.
The leaves are falling. It's October. Fall season is in full swing with warmer days and cooler nights, and T.G. Brooks has your fall needs. Time to plant your turnip seed, your kale, mustard, collards, and broccoli. More importantly, it's time to sow the yard and do fall planting. There's no better time of the year to reseed and refeed your lawn. T.G. Brooks Company has plenty of advice and plenty of supplies. Enrich your yard with needs like lime, fertilizer, grass seed, including the new Top Choice Turf grass seed for greener and plusher lawns. Many people have been to T.G. Brooks Company and picked up or had delivered beautiful mulch, including some of the triple ground mulch, and they have mulch in several colors. It's also time to do some raking, so get your lawn rakes and your tools to do the work. With cooler weather, don't forget a dog kennel, shavings, Bartlett Animal Feeds, and Pride Dog Foods. And this time of the year is time to check over your stovepipe needs and fittings. Also, they have your replacement parts for Taylor wood stoves like blowers, anode rods, rust inhibitor chemicals, and pumps. Next month we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving, so keep in mind T.G. Brooks Company will have your Thanksgiving delicious, famous T.G. Brooks Company country ham. So plan now to put that on your shopping list for later on. From cast iron cookware to case pocket knives, from grocery needs to radio flyer red wagons, from plumbing supplies to electrical supplies, they have them. And plenty of advice, especially for your lawn and garden. Be sure to pick up some hand-cut ribeyes and take them home, pop them on the grill, and everybody's going to be excited. T.G. Brooks Company thanking you for your business and looking forward to serving you. Phone them at 364-2428.
All righty, that's going to wrap it up for this edition, Paul. Again, the time went by really fast.
It does. Time flies when you're having fun, Rob.
It does that. Appreciate you shining some light and sharing some information with us. Again, if you need some information about some of the things that we talked about today, you can contact Paul at the Person County office, 336-599-1195, or the Granville office, 919-603-1350. Thanks to T.G. Brooks Company, Goings Auctioneering, Sandling Golf Cars, and Our Pride Foods for sponsoring the Gardeners Corner program